Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into an ancient text that, honestly, plays out like a high-stakes, ticking clock thriller. We're talking immense power, sudden, shocking vulnerability, and the absolutely brutal reality of cause and effect. I love breaking down narratives like this because it just goes to show that human nature, with all its crazy flaws and brilliance, literally hasn't changed in thousands of years.
So, how fast can one moment of arrogance lead to your complete undoing? Keep that question in the back of your mind as we go through this, because what we're about to explore, it's not just some old myth. It's a meticulously structured chain reaction of devastating consequences. It all starts with this one brazen choice. And, spoiler alert, it ends in an inescapable, fatal trap. All right, let's jump right in. Section 1. The Arrogant Proposition, a Fatal Misstep.
Our story kicks off with a guy named Yavakri. He's wandering fearlessly into this beautiful hermitage during the month of Chaitra. And right away, the psychological contrast between our two main characters is wild. First, you have Yavakri. The source text actually flat out says he lost his senses through passion. The guy is completely consumed by blind aggression and lust. But then you have the woman he encounters, the daughter-in-law of a massively powerful sage named Raivya. She isn't blinded at all. She's incredibly calculating. The text tells us she knew his nature and was afraid of a curse. She's keenly aware of her father-in-law's immense power. Basically, she's playing 3D chess, thinking 3 steps ahead, while Yavakri is just totally trapped in his own impulsive desires. So driven by these lost senses, Yavakri just walks right up to this bashful maiden and drops this incredibly arrogant proposition. Be thou attached unto me. I mean, the sheer audacity, right? He shamelessly strolls into another family's sacred sanctuary and makes this aggressive, demanding proposition, completely ignoring every single boundary of the space and the woman standing right in front of him.
But like we established, she is incredibly smart. She knows if she flat out rejects him, an unhinged, powerful guy like Yavakri might just curse her or hurt her right there on the spot. So what does she do? She springs a brilliant trap. She looks at him and simply says, I agree. She totally lures him into this false sense of victory, takes him into a private area, and then, the text says, she keeps him chained. She literally flips the script on him. In one swift, genius move, she neutralizes the immediate physical threat and protects herself using Yavakri's own blinding arrogance right against him.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, A Father's Fiery Wrath, the Ritual.
This is exactly where the consequences of Yavakri's actions really start to catch up with him. The father-in-law, Raivya, returns, hears what went down, and his mind just flames up with wrath. Driven by this incredible anger, Raivya initiates a dark, ancient magic ritual. And the mechanics of this are just fascinating. Step 1, he physically tears off a matted lock of his own hair. Step 2, he starts chanting these powerful, holy mantras, channeling all his immense spiritual energy. And then step 3, he offers that hair as a sacrifice, tossing it straight into the sacred fire.
And the results of this fiery sacrifice? They are immediate and they are terrifying. Out of the sacred fire springs a female who looks exactly like his daughter-in-law, a perfect, flawless clone. But Raivya, he doesn't stop there. He plucks a second lock of hair, throws that into the fire, and out springs a demon. The text describes this thing as terrible to behold and having fierce eyes. Raivya has quite literally weaponized his rage, manifesting it into 2 supernatural assassins. These 2 newly born creations, the clone and this fierce-eyed demon, look right at their creator, Raivya, and they ask, "What shall we do?" And the angry sage delivers an inescapable sentence. Go and kill Yavakri. That's it. There is no trial, no chance for an apology, no negotiation. The wheels of consequence are fully in motion now, and these 2 beings exist for one singular, violent purpose. Which brings us to Section 3, the loss of power, stripped of defenses.
Up until now, Yavakri was playing the role of the confident aggressor, but the dynamic is about to take a massive turn. And this part brilliantly illustrates just how precise Raivya's revenge really is. Before the demon even strikes, the female creation, the clone designed to perfectly resemble the woman Yavakri lusted after, approaches him. She uses her charms, directly exploiting his original weakness, and robs Yavakri of his sacred water pot. Now, you might be wondering, why does a water pot matter so much? Well, in this ancient context, that water pot is literally his spiritual shield. By losing it, he's instantly rendered entirely unclean. His ultimate defenses are just completely stripped away.
And the pacing of the story just accelerates wildly right here. It's a rapid-fire sequence of events. First, Yavakri realizes he's been deprived of his sacred power. Second, that terrible demon is suddenly approaching him, spear already uplifted, ready to strike. You can feel the terrifying reality crashing down on Yavakri in real time. His shield is gone, he is completely exposed, and in sheer panic, Yavakri suddenly jumps up and he just runs for his life.
And that launches us into our final act, Section 4, the inescapable end. The trap closes.
We're now tracking this incredibly frantic, high-stakes chase sequence. But here's the crazy part. It's not just the demon chasing him. It's as if the environment itself is actively rejecting Yavakri. Let's look at how this builds, because every single escape route just vanishes into thin air the second he reaches it. First, he's desperate for water to cleanse himself and regain his power, so he flees to a tank, but he finds it completely devoid of water. Next, totally panicked, he hurries toward the nearby rivers, but impossibly, they're all dried up too. He's being obstructed at every turn, with a fierce demon right on his heels. Finally, completely out of options, he runs for his absolute last resort. He tries to enter the Agnihotra room, the sacred fire room of his own father.
He is literally inches away from sanctuary. But right at the door, he's repulsed by a blind Sudra warder who guards the room. The warder reaches out and physically grasps Yavakri. I mean, just imagine the agonizing tension of this moment. The demon is right behind him, spear in hand, and Yavakri is held tight by a blind man right at the threshold of safety, utterly unable to break free and get inside his father's safe room.
Finding Yavakri firmly grasped by the warder and completely trapped, the demon doesn't hesitate for a second. He hurls his spear, and the text concludes this brutal chase with simple, chilling finality. He fell down dead, pierced in the heart. The demon then just turns around and heads back to Raivya, his bloody task complete.
So, what does this all mean? The absolute crucial takeaway here is that Yavakri wasn't just killed by a supernatural monster, he was cornered by the consequences of his own hubris. Every drying river, every clever trap, every lost ounce of power, it was all a direct ripple effect of his own arrogant choice on that day in Chaitra. It's an ancient story, but it leaves us with a very modern question to chew on. In our own lives, when we push boundaries with unwarranted arrogance, what invisible consequences are we setting into motion that might one day catch up with us? Think about that for a bit, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.